Well, thank you so much for being here, Dr. Natasha. I know that a lot of people who watch my channel look up to you, and you've been so powerful in my own healing journey as well, all of your work. So it's such a privilege to be able to interview you today.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm delighted to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I would love to just hear a little bit first about your early interest in the microbiome. I would love to hear more about what inspired you to start studying all of that bacteria that lives in our guts.
Okay. Well, I come from the Soviet Union. I'm a medical doctor, and I was trained in the Soviet Union. It was an amazing country. And the research into human microbiome in the Soviet Union went on for decades, practically from the discovery of Ilya Mechnikov, who was a Russian, that gut flora exists. He discovered
Yeah.
it at the beginning of the 20th century, and the whole of 20th century, the research went on in the Soviet Union. And as students at the medical school, we knew from the beginning about gut flora, and we had products that we could use with our patients to boost their gut flora and to deal with the gut flora. And there were state-run programs of looking after the population's gut flora, where where mothers of newborn babies could go down to their GP surgery, to their family doctor every morning and get a little pot of fermented milk product that they gave to their newborn babies on a daily basis to boost their gut flora. And many illnesses were treated that way with different formulations, different groups of bacteria. And there were a lot of research done in big factories and big organizations where there were thousands of employees, where every employee had to take this little drink at the entrance into the factory. And there were groups of researchers who were studying their gut flora and recording their symptoms. And so that was something that everybody knew in the Soviet Union. Gut flora was something that we grew up with, the knowledge about it, and the special kefir and katik and yogurt and other sour milk products that everybody drank and everybody took every evening to boost their gut flora and to look after it. So when I moved to the UK, when I started my family, I moved to the UK in the 1990s, at the beginning of 1990s. And I started working with children with autism, hyperactivity, with dyslexia, dyspraxia. Initially, it was children that I worked with. Then adults with psychiatric illnesses started coming to me. And then I've discovered very quickly that all of these so-called mental patients have physical symptoms, that they're physically ill as well. They have allergies, they have digestive issues, they have painful joints, painful muscles, skin problems, and autoimmunity going on and inflammation going on in the body. And I've realized quite quickly that the same place which caused the mental illness in these patients and learning disability in these children was causing all these physical problems as well. And that place is our gut, our digestive system. So human body is a microbial community. There are more microbes in your body than there are human cells. Many people are surprised to hear that. There is nothing microbe-free in your body. You have microbes in your blood, in your heart, in your lungs, in your joints, in your muscles, in your brain, in your liver. Everywhere there are microbes. And the biggest microbial community lives in your digestive system. That is the center of your microbial community. That is where, like all roads used to lead to Rome, all roads in your body lead to the gut, because that is where the big ministry is, the big government of that microbial community, called gut flora or gut microbiome. All microbial communities in nature function on balance and harmony. As long as all the different microbes are present in that community, they all control each other. They don't allow any one of them to get out of control and become a troublemaker. When you have all the microbes present, you have harmony, you have balance. And what is good health? Good health is harmony. They look after your body in such a way that you have plenty of energy, nothing hurts, you function very well, you feel well, you sleep well, and you enjoy your life because you have a body, a vehicle that you drive in this physical dimension that is perfectly oiled and perfectly in perfect repair, and it works well. And it's much more comfortable to drive a vehicle that works, right? Rather than driving a broken vehicle.
Yes.
Trouble is, we human beings are very good at creating imbalances in nature, disharmony in nature. Every time you take an antibiotic, you kill a proportion of those microbes in your gut first and in other places in your body too. So what's left, the other microbes in that microbial community, suddenly are not controlled anymore. They get out of control. The balance is gone. The harmony is gone. And those microbes overgrow as a result. And from being benevolent members of a balanced community, they become rogues. They start causing trouble in your body. And you start getting chronic inflammation, and you start getting autoimmunity and symptoms and pain and dysfunction and all sorts of problems. So the center of all this microbial community is your digestive system. Why? Because the most powerful influence on any microbial community in nature is food. You ask any microbiologist, you change the food supply to a microbial community in a dish in a laboratory, everything changes in a couple of hours. Certain microbes disappear, other microbes appear out of nowhere, and the whole microbial community changed. There is nothing more powerful in its influence on a microbial community than food supply. Because your body is a microbial community, there is nothing more powerful in its influence on your health than food.
Yes.
Nothing can come even close to the effect of food that you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and in between, on everything happening in your body, on your good health and on your disease, whatever it is. So we live in a society, in a world that is absolutely determined to destroy our microbiome. Every agricultural chemical that is used to grow our food is a broad spectrum antibiotic in its nature. Practically every. The most powerful one is glyphosate. That's the active ingredient in the herbicide Roundup. Many people don't even know about it. They don't know that Roundup is toxic. They spray it on their driveways where their children play. And it is a broad spectrum antibiotic. And the research now shows that practically every bite of food that you buy from a supermarket is laced with glyphosate, even produce labeled organic. Even organic produce is full of glyphosate. This is a broad spectrum antibiotic. Add to that other agricultural chemicals. You're eating antibiotics for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and in between. So you're damaging your microbial community in your body all the time. Because majority of antibiotics in the world are aimed at killing bacteria, these bacteria control fungi, viruses, protozoa, and many other members of the microbial community. Those members, left without control, overgrow. So the first thing that happens in people who take antibiotics like that and eat antibiotics on a daily basis, fungi overgrow. There is a fungal overgrowth in the body, and not only in the digestive system, but everywhere else. And other species overgrow too. So what happens, this species, this pathogenic now, gut flora that you have there, from being your friend when it was harmonious, it turns into your worst enemy. Worst enemy. It damages the integrity of your gut wall. Your gut wall becomes like a sieve. It develops holes in it. It becomes porous and leaky. At the same time, this rogue microbial community in your gut digests food that comes along that you are eating and converts it into millions of poisonous chemicals. These chemicals absorb through the damaged gut wall into your blood, into your lymph, and your blood and lymph carry it all over the body, everywhere. And wherever these toxins get you, they cause disease. That is why every chronic disease is born in the gut.
Mm.
Every illness is born in the gut. This is a statement made by the father of modern medicine, Hippocrates, thousands of years ago. Today, with our modern research, we can confirm that he was absolutely correct. Indeed, every disease begins in the gut. What I've just described is GAPS.
Yes.
GAPS is an abbreviation that stands for gut and psychology syndrome and gut and physiology syndrome. Both abbreviate to the same GAPS in the English language. Gut and psychology syndrome is a book that I've written in 2004. First, it's now in its second edition. And that one focused on the brain. Because at the time I was working with autistic children, hyperactive children, dyslexic, dyspraxic, children with other learning disabilities, children with epilepsy, and mental illness. That is why that book focused on the brain, largely. What I've demonstrated that all of those illnesses, from my point of view, every psychiatric illness, every mental illness, every learning disability is GAPS. What happens to these people? They develop abnormal microbial community in the gut, and their digestive system, as a result, instead of feeding them, poisons them. There's a river of toxicity coming through that damaged gut wall from the activity of the pathogenic microbial flora in the gut. River of toxins, river of poisons flows into your body, gets into the brain, and makes your child autistic or hyperactive or dyslexic, or gives them something else, or makes an adult, gives them a psychiatric illness or epilepsy. So that is the brain. The second book, called Gut and Physiology Syndrome, GAPS book, I've written much later, and that book focuses on the rest of the body, on all the other organs and tissues and systems in the body. So these two books complement each other and complete each other. They stand separately, they're not replacing each other, they are together, these books. So one focuses on the brain, another one focuses on the rest of the body. So no matter what your illness is, no matter how far away from the digestive system it manifested, you might have, let's say, osteoarthritis. Your joints are hurting, right? They're inflamed, they're hurting, they're getting mutilated, those joints. And you say that, well, my digestive system seems all right. No constipation, no diarrhea, no gas, no pain, no indigestion. But when we test the gut flora in these people, we find that it's abnormal. And when we start treating them with the GAPS nutritional protocol, with the GAPS diet, first and foremost, the pain in the joints disappears. The inflammation disappears, autoimmunity disappears. And your rheumatoid arthritis or osteoarthritis starts melting away and disappearing, demonstrating to us that the roots of that disease were sitting in the gut.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yes.
So once you've healed the roots, everything else in the body starts functioning and starts working properly. So whatever chronic illness you may have, or your children have, or other members of your family have, every chronic disease begins in the gut. And that's where the treatment must begin. And what the GAPS diet does, it brings harmony and balance back into your microbial community.
Yes. And will you explain more about the principles of the specific carbohydrate diet that you started using for GAPS and why the complex carbohydrates, removing them can be such a benefit to the microbiome? Like, can you explain a little more about how that brings harmony back?
I met Elaine Gottschall many years ago. That was 1996, probably, or 5 even, something like that. That was the first time she came to the UK, where I live, and it was in Oxford, and there was a conference there. So I met her for the first time at that conference, and we became professional friends. So I began working with I got her book immediately. I began working with her diet, and what I found that the diet is very similar to what traditional societies around the world have used for millennia. I had to modify the diet for my patients. I had to add more nutrient-dense foods there. And it's my patients who called that diet GAPS. They related to GAPS, and they called it GAPS. And in both my books, I talk about Elaine Goschel, and I talk about the specific carbohydrate diet, and I talk about how it was called GAPS. But I say that was the basis, that's where I started. But then I had to add other foods, nutrient-dense foods to it, and certain
Yes.
ways of cooking and certain ways of dealing with food from traditional societies. Because I come from a traditional society myself. I grew
Yes.
up in a traditional society myself. And I tell this story that my grandparents lived in a tiny little village up in the mountains, and Ural Mountains in Russia. This is a chain of mountains which divide the continent into Europe and Asia on the cusp between the two. So that's where my grandparents used to live, and they live in a small village where there was no food that you could buy anywhere. Everybody produced their own food. Every family produced their own food. Everybody had a cow. Everybody had chickens, geese, ducks, sheep, gardens, bees, and everybody produced their own food. And that's the diet that people lived on in that village, was practically GAPS. And I spent a lot of my childhood there. And when I was 18 months old, I got very ill. There was a poisoning at the crash where I was, and I never recovered from that. And according to my parents, I was practically dying. I was losing weight and nothing could help me. So my parents lived in a city, in a big city. So my grandmother came to the city and she took me away to the village. And my parents didn't see me for a year. They simply could not travel there. They could not visit the grandparents. And when they came, they couldn't recognize me because this was this healthy toddler. My grandmother healed me. And only years later, I have discovered that what she healed me with was the GAPS diet. So nothing in life happens as an accident.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that's such an incredible story. Thank you for sharing that. I love how you can just find these principles back in your own family and cultural lineage. That's so beautiful. I'm wondering if you can explain for people who maybe don't understand why taking out the starchy foods, the complex carbohydrates would help their gut, because I think a lot of people hear stories like, oh, you need to eat more grains in order to help your gut microbiome. Like people hear that, like healthy whole grains help your gut be healthier, and GAPS really does the opposite. And so I'm wondering how you would explain that to someone who's confused.
Everything I write in my books and everything I explain comes from clinical experience. It
Yes.
doesn't come from scientific papers or from textbooks or somebody else's books. It comes from clinical experience. What the bodies of my patients show, and majority of them are children, maybe I would say 60–70%, and the rest are adults. So nature gives us the truth, and it gives us the truth all the time. What we need to understand that Mother Nature gave us two groups of foods. It gave us plants, and these are grains, beans, seeds, nuts, vegetables, fruit, and so on, plant matter. And it gave us animal foods, meat, fish, eggs, and dairy. And these two groups of foods, human beings are omnivores. We can eat foods from both groups, and we can digest both. But what the research have shown from 1930s that I found, that the only things on our planet that can truly digest plant matter are microbes.
Yes.
Nobody else can digest plants. Only microbes, balanced natural microbial communities, can break down plant matter. Mother Nature used this scientific fact in creating a digestive system of a cow, or sheep, or deer, or antelope, giraffe, and other herbivorous animals. Mother Nature gave them several stomachs, enormous stomachs, full of microbes. And it's these microbes in these stomachs that digest the grass for these animals. So the cow doesn't digest the grass herself. It's that microbial community in her rumen. This group of stomachs is called a rumen in a cow, that digest the grass for her, break it down, convert it into something that then absorbs, and the cow can use for building its body, for building its physical structure. We human beings don't have a rumen. We have a small stomach which produces hydrochloric acid. The acidity in your stomach can be below 2, below 1 pH. Very hostile environment for microbes to survive in. That is why a healthy human stomach is practically microbe-free. It's practically sterile. That's the only microbe-free environment in your body, is your stomach. Wow. So when you swallow food, it lands in your stomach. That's the first place where it lands, and that's where the major part of digestion happens. Remember, only microbes can digest plants. So plants are indigestible for the human stomach. But hydrochloric acid, pepsin, and other elements of human stomach juice are perfect for digesting meat, fish, eggs, and dairy, animal foods. Only these foods get properly chopped up, properly digested, properly broken down, and then they move into several meters of intestine, small intestine, where absorption of food happens. And we can only absorb what we properly digested. So plants sit in your stomach waiting. They don't do much. They don't digest much in there. Then they go through the intestines where nothing much happens with them either. They contribute some juices, some minerals, some vitamin C maybe, and some other vitamins. But the bulk of what your body is built from, they cannot contribute.
Right.
And the bulk of your body is made out of proteins and fats. Majority of your body, of course, is water. About 70% by weight is water in the human body. When we remove water out of the human body, what's left, the dry weight, is about 50-50, protein and fat. When we analyze human protein and human fat in a lab, we find that they are almost identical in their biochemical composition as proteins and fats coming from animal foods, meat, fish, eggs, and dairy. So animal foods are easy for us to digest. Our digestive system is perfectly designed to digest them. They absorb well because they digest well, and they have the right nutrition to sustain the physical structure you live in. The human body renews itself all the time. It's dynamic. It's extremely dynamic. All cells in your body live a short life. They die, they get removed, and new baby cells are born to replace them. Your body gives birth to trillions of cells every day. To make those trillions of cells, building materials are required. You need protein and you need fats. Where do they come from? From food. And they come only from animal foods. Plants have a lot of proteins and have a lot of fats, but both of those are inappropriate for building human fat and human protein. The most researched plant protein is gluten. And the more we research gluten, the more we find that nobody can digest it. It damages every human being. Whether you get symptoms from it or not, you are getting damaged by gluten. So plants basically are indigestible. They're very hard to digest for the human body. And all traditional societies around the world have discovered that through experience. My grandmother knew that. You need to have a very healthy, very robust digestive system in order to digest plant matter. The more your digestive system is damaged, the less you're able to handle it, the more it damages you. And plants are equipped with all sorts of chemicals, particularly their seed, to stop the animals from eating them. Because plants can't run away. They're rooted to one place, right? And they don't want their babies, the seeds are their babies. They don't want their babies eaten. They want them to grow. So they equip their babies with special chemicals called anti-nutrients, lectins, phthalates, salicylates, enzyme inhibitors, and all sorts of other chemicals to damage the digestive system of an animal that eats them. I'm an organic farmer, a regenerative farmer. And when my grass goes to seed, my cows refuse to eat it. They would not eat it because they know that all that seed will damage their digestive system. They want grass. They don't want something that's gone to seed. So even ruminants, even herbivorous animals would not eat seed. So what is grain? It's seed. It's indigestible. It damages your digestive system. It has inappropriate proteins for you, inappropriate fats for you, because fats in plants are polyunsaturated. We need a tiny, tiny amount of polyunsaturated fats. Just by eating a salad, eating an apple, eating a handful of nuts, you'll get it. And you'll get them in a pristine, clean state because you're eating natural things. You're not eating it processed. The bulk of fat that your body is built of, the bulk of fat that you need to consume on a daily basis must be animal fats.
Yes.
Pork fat, lamb fat, beef fat, goose fat, duck fat, butter, ghee. These fats are good for you. They are very compatible with human physiology. They build your human fat very nicely, and they are stable. We can cook on them, and we can even heat them and reheat them because they don't get destroyed by heat the same way the plant oils do. So these are the fats that we should all consume on a daily basis, and we should be cooking on. Vegetable oils that are extracted in our big factories from plant matter, from seeds in particular, are chemically mutilated. They were inappropriate in excess for your body and for your physiology to start with, but then they are hauled to these big factories, and in the factories they're subjected to heat, chemical solvents, pressure, and all sorts of other processing technologies, which mutilate polyunsaturated fatty acids, turning them into chemically changed things which don't exist in nature. Because these oils and fats in plants are very fragile. They're easily damaged by pressure, by solvents, by oxygen, by light, and high temperatures. So all of these oils that are sold as cooking oils and vegetable oils, these are the most poisonous things anybody can consume, a human or an animal. Nobody should be consuming them. And yet, all our processed foods, all our packaged refined things, all our takeaways, our restaurant foods are cooked on them. So a modern human being, particularly in the Western world, consumes enormous amounts of these poisonous oils. They are the basis of every degenerative disease. They really upset the physiology of a human body on a very fundamental level. So coming back to plants versus animal foods, human digestive system is not designed to digest plant matter very well. You have to have a cast iron digestive system in order to be able to digest plants, particularly their seeds. What are grains? They're seeds.
Yes.
Wheat, rice, rye, oats, millet, tapioca, couscous, amaranth, quinoa, buckwheat, and the rest of them. What are nuts? They're seeds. What are beans? Lentils, chickpeas, they're seeds. All of them. What the traditional societies have learned through millennia, that in order to have plant matter, particularly their seeds, we must process them first to reduce the amount of those anti-nutrients in the seed, those poisonous chemicals that the plant put into the seed, into their babies to protect them. So people in all traditional societies used to mold the seeds. They would soak them for a long time. They would sprout them. They would ferment them, the seeds. Then they will grind them. Then they will cook them. And then they will ferment them again. And in Africa, they would then spread it on a stone or somewhere to dry into powder. They would then grind that powder and make some kind of bread from it, or some kind of biscuits or, buns out of it. They would never dream of having seeds just as they are. They would always ferment them first. Because when we ferment and sprout, what we're doing, we are employing microbial communities in nature, which naturally are existent on every plant. They live on every plant, they live in every seed, inside the seed and on it, microbial communities, to pre-digest that food, that plant for you before you put it in your mouth. So that the digestion of it happens outside you, because remember, only microbes can digest plant matter. So we digest it outside our bodies using microbial community, asking microbes to do that work for us, and only then we consume them in that shape and form. And that's how people used to make bread, for example, for millennia. They would ferment it. There was a sourdough, a proper sourdough. The sourdough with cold sourdough that's sold in supermarkets is not sourdough.
Mm-mm.
So many corners are cut, it's not properly processed, it's not properly fermented at all. And what we also understand, and what my grandmother understood when she got me when I was 18 months old, and I had diarrhea and vomiting, and I was losing weight, and nothing could stop it. She understood that the more the digestive system of a person is damaged, the less plant matter that person is able to digest,
Right.
able to consume, because plants are very damaging and they are hard to digest for the human beings, and you need to have a very strong digestive system. So she cut out plants. The only things she used were fermented vegetables that she would then cook very well in a meat stock.
Mm.
So she healed me with meat stock that she made with meats, with her sour milk product, which was called katik, because she had a cow, and she had a pantry where she had this enamel tub, and every day she would take majority of that sour milk out. The family would be consuming it, and she would pour fresh milk in it into that tub. So that tub was going on all the time in the pantry cupboard, that cupboard. That was like a heart in the family. That was a member of the family. That tub with that community of microbes. And she healed me with that, because that fermented milk is teeming with probiotic bacteria.
Yeah.
And not only bacteria, but fungi and viruses. There's a very complex microbial community in that natural sour milk product. So she kept giving it to me, and that repopulated my gut. That allowed my body. And the milk, when for 24 hours, that microbial community digests the milk for you, turning it into a sour kefir or yogurt, or a sour milk product, it digests the milk for you. All the proteins get broken down into single amino acids, into peptides, and all the other elements of milk, which might be difficult for a human body to digest, get broken down, pre-digested. And most importantly, lactose gets removed.
Yes.
Microbes love sugars. Lactose is the milk sugar, so microbes completely consume it. So after 24 hours of fermenting milk like that, it is truly lactose-free. And giving lactose to a person who has abnormal gut flora is not good at all, because it's that abnormal gut flora that will lap it up, eat it, and convert it into a whole river of poisons and produce lots of gas for you. So you will have abdominal pain and indigestion and diarrhea and gas and bloating, and just will not feel well. So fermented milk product is a truly lactose-free product. So my mother healed me with soup made with meat stock, because the basis of all soup in traditional societies was meat stock. And with this sour milk and boiled meats, gelatinous meats, and her eggs. And very little plant matter, well cooked and fermented prior to that. And that is what we do in the GAPS diet.
Yes.
We now moved into a situation where there are people, the Western world in particular, the population in the Western world is getting sicker and sicker every year. Yeah. The health of the Western population is already in dire state, and our children and young people, the new generations that come in, their health is getting worse and worse because of the way what we do with food and how we grow it, all the chemicals that are in the environment, and electromagnetic pollution that is coming in, and lots of other damaging man-made influences. So now we have a growing population of young people in the Western world whose digestive systems are so damaged they cannot handle any plant matter at all. This is the carnivore movement. They remove all plants altogether, and they recover from serious autoimmune illnesses, mental illnesses, degenerative illnesses, obesity, and all kinds of things. And they feel so well, these people, just eating pure animal foods, not touching any plant matter at all. They don't want to introduce any plants. And I now have many patients in my clinic who have been on a no plant GAPS diet for 15 years and longer. Oh, wow. They're doing so well. They don't want to introduce any plant matter. So it's these patients, these clients that have demonstrated to me without a shadow of a doubt that human beings can live without eating plants perfectly well.
Yes.
Strictly
Yes.
speaking, we do not need to eat plants. We do not need 5 a day, or 7 a day, or 15 a day, or whatever the latest figure is from our authorities. We do not need any of that because of the way the digestive system in a human being is structured. Only animal foods feed your body and build your body. Plants are incapable of feeding you, and they're incapable of building your body.
Yes.
So the question is, why do we eat plants at all? Why do
Yes.
we need them? These plants? Because plants are cleansers. They're
Yes.
powerful cleansers. They keep our bodies clean on the inside.
Mhm.
But of course, you have to have your digestive system in a certain good state of repair in order to be able to handle them.
Yeah.
The more your digestive system is damaged, the less you're able to handle plant matter. And you can't live entirely without plants. But human beings, again, thousands of patients around the world have demonstrated to me clearly another fact, that human beings cannot live without animal foods.
Yeah. Yes.
We cannot be vegans.
Yeah.
In fact, veganism is not a diet, it is a form of fasting.
Yes.
And I describe that in great detail in my vegetarian book called Vegetarianism Explained. I can show you my books, they're just here.
Lovely.
Next to me. So, and the fact that veganism is not a diet, there it is, Vegetarianism Explained. It's not a big book, it's got nice pictures. And
Yes.
and it's designed
Great
for,
one.
it's fully referenced for professionals and designed for people without medical training to read.
Mhm.
So, veganism is not a diet. Fasting, it's a fast. This is not
Yes.
my idea. I went to India several times and I studied Indian vegetarianism, where it came from, and why there are some groups of people who are vegetarian in India. And in India, Hindu pilgrims travel long distances to their sacred sites. And part of their pilgrimage is a 42-day fast, 41, 42 days. I spoke to these people and I've asked them, what kind of fast is it? Please describe it. Are you allowed to eat something or you just drink water? And they said, that's very difficult, so difficult, so difficult. And what they described to me was the Western vegan diet.
Yes.
They're allowed to eat all plants,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not allowed to eat any animal foods.
Right.
Hinduism is one of the oldest religions in the world. It's said to be 35,000 years old. These people would follow this veganism only for 41, 42 days maximum. They say it's very difficult. They will do it only as part of their religious pilgrimage, and they call it a fast. So veganism is not a diet, it's a fast. Fasting can be beneficial for human body because it's deeply cleansing, fasting, but nobody can fast forever. At a certain point, your body will finish cleansing and it will give you a signal. I'm finished cleansing now, I'm hungry, feed me. How would your body tell you that? It will give you a desire for a roast chicken, for bacon and eggs, for a pot of cream, for a piece of creamy cheese, a steak, or something like that. Trouble is, in the Western world, many of our vegans are doing it for political reasons, religious reasons, emotional reasons, and various other reasons. They don't listen to their body. They force it to continue cleansing when the body is asking to be fed.
Right.
And at that point, the body has no choice but to start breaking down muscle and bone to feed the brain, the lungs, the heart, the liver, your digestive system, and other vital organs. So the person starts losing muscle mass, bone mass, and brain mass. Their brains literally shrink. We see it on the scans. And as a result, these people become hangry. This is a clinical term now that doctors are using, made out of two words, angry and hungry.
Yeah.
These people are angry, revolutionary people, because their brains are starving. They're angry people. because the tissue of the brain is very heavy on fat. It's a high fat tissue, and the rest of it is protein. And they're not getting either fat or protein because the plants do not feed us. They only cleanse. There are many people in this world who are overweight and toxic. They've accumulated a lot of toxicity in their body. They could do with a fast. It's good for them to fast for a month or 21 days or something like that. And vegan fast might actually suit them. A cleaner body feels better than a toxic body. That is why in the first few weeks, these people feel so much better than before. And that's the time when they write their evangelical blogs and their books and try to convince the whole world that veganism is the way to go. But then that's the point. The body will finish cleansing and it will become hungry. And that's the time to start feeding your body meat and fish and eggs and dairy. It's absolutely vital. Vegetarianism, where a human being continues consuming eggs and dairy and occasionally meat and fish, can be sustained. And such vegetarian culture exists in India. And having researched it and studied it, I had to come to the conclusion that the cause of that is not choice. These people didn't choose this lifestyle. They've chosen it out of poverty. They can't afford to eat animal foods. They can, a family like that can grow an animal, they can sell that animal to somebody wealthier and get enough money to buy rice and beans for the rest of the year, for the whole family. So these people are vegetarians, not by choice, out of poverty. They can't afford it. But whenever they have a chance to have some meat and some fish, they will never say no. That's why occasionally they do have these things. They all keep chickens and ducks and they eat as many eggs as they can get. So that's one animal food that sustains them. And the other animal food is dairy. Why do you think a cow is a sacred animal in India? Because without cow, these kind of families will perish. She gives them ghee, she gives them butter, cream, cheese, milk. That's why a cow is a sacred animal. That's an animal food that can sustain their bodies. Another big factor here is that the hotter the climate is, the warmer the climate is, the less we want to eat meat and fat. You know, when it's a hot summer day, you don't want a rich stew, right? You want a salad, a cooling salad. But the colder the climate where you live, the more meat and fat you have to eat to survive, because that's what your body requires. The climate, the weather plays a role on what our bodies need, on our nutritional needs. So that is about vegetarianism. So that's a long answer to your question about grains.
No, it was really excellent. It's so much good information, and I just so appreciate how you see the different factors like climate and temperature and necessity is playing into why different people have different diets. I think it's so important. I am wondering if I can ask you one more question before we wrap up, because a lot of people that watch my channel have mast cell activation syndrome or various types of histamine disorders, and I would love to hear your perspectives on these kinds of conditions that are becoming more and more common and how mast cell activation syndrome fits into the GAPS world and this perspective.
Mast cell activation disorder is an inflammation that happens in the whole body. The whole body launches inflammation. Why would the body do that? Because inflammation is the most powerful cleansing mechanism, cleansing tool your immune system has. And it's a tool that is right on the shelf, it's ready, it's switched on, just grab and use. The immune system doesn't have to prepare for it, doesn't have to do any prior work to use that. And when the body launches this inflammation, you feel awful. It's not nice at all because inflammation doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. It hurts. The place is swollen, red, hot. The function is limited. And when this inflammation is launched all over the body, that is very, very unpleasant. Why would the body do that? Because the body is contaminated. That leaky gut, you know, the gut wall that is damaged and porous and leaky, because the gut flora is abnormal, and pathogenic microbes that overgrow there, they punch holes literally through the gut lining. The gut lining becomes like a sieve. So many things happen. These pathogenic microbes convert your food that you're eating into a river of poisons, which absorb. They go to various tissues in the body and they contaminate your body. They attach themselves to various proteins, changing three-dimensional structure of those proteins, and then the immune system finds them, looks at them, says, you're not mine, you need cleaning, and it launches inflammation to clean those proteins up. On top of that, the food that you eat doesn't get a chance to be digested properly before it absorbs through those holes in your gut lining.
Mm-hmm.
You absorb all the food that you eat undigested. The immune system, of course, reacts to these undigested food particles, attaching various complexes to them, creating very large molecules. Those molecules are great triggers of inflammation. Wherever they settle in your body, they might settle in your joint, in your muscle, in your fascia, in your brain, in your skin, or somewhere else in your body. There will be a huge focus of inflammation there. Mm-hmm. So you will not feel well. You will have a skin rash, you will have a cystitis, you will have a nephropathy, and you will have pain and swelling and all sorts of horrible. So what do we do in this sort of situation? The first thing to deal with the root cause of it is the abnormal gut flora and the leaky, porous, damaged gut. What we need to do, we need to change the gut flora. We need to bring balance and harmony back to it. We need to restore normal balanced gut flora. And we need to heal and seal the gut lining. We need to close all those holes in the gut lining. Once that happened, food starts absorbing properly digested, and all your food allergies and intolerances and reactions disappear. And that river of toxicity that was coming from your gut and poisoning you, contaminating your tissues in the body, stops. Mm-hmm. Your body has a powerful detoxification system, which cleanses you all the time. It's a cleaner in your body. It has headquarters in the liver and departments in every cell. So it will clean you up. It will remove the existing toxicity. And all your symptoms will subside and disappear. And that is what GAPS diet does. GAPS introduction diet in particular heals and seals the gut very well and quite quickly. And with all the other elements of the GAPS diet, we change your gut flora.
Yes. Wonderful. Such a good explanation. I think sometimes people overcomplicate things in a way when really it's just another way that the same issues manifest. And so we can still do just these same foundational practices of sealing the gut and rebalancing the microbes, and these symptoms will resolve with time. So thank you so much. Is there anything, I know you guys have the GAPS Science Foundation has been doing more research lately. Is there any projects or anything that is happening that you want to share about?
We have gapstraining.com, gapstraining.com. I can put it in the chat if you would like.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'll make sure I post it in the
so you can
summary.
post it. So it's
perfect.
gapstraining.com, where we train GAPS practitioners and GAPS coaches. And these are professionals. We've trained thousands all over the world. They're all listed on my website, which is gaps.me. That's where they're listed, these professionals. So if you need professional help, you can go there and find a practitioner nearby. Well, majority of them now use technologies, so they don't have to live near you, these people. And many people specialize in different illnesses and diseases. So on the gapstraining.com, we also have several courses which are very, very helpful for people. We have a starting with GAPS course for a person who just finds it too difficult to digest all the information about GAPS diet and they don't know where to start and how to go about the whole thing. If you join that course, you will be literally led by the hand by very experienced GAPS practitioners. All your questions will be answered. You will move step by step slowly, and you will do the whole protocol correctly without making mistakes. This is particularly valuable for people with low level of energy, people who find it difficult to, who have a brain fog, find it difficult to acquire new information, and for other people who are simply not feeling well, who are ill. Yeah. We have a training course there for parents who have fussy eating children who just refuse to eat and would not eat this and that and the other, who are very fussy, difficult to feed. So again, you will be taught by very experienced gap practitioners how to deal with that situation. If you go through that course, your child will be eating everything and enjoying it and healing. We have all kinds of other courses there, very, very useful. We have a course there on healing and sealing your gut lining, on food allergies and intolerances. That's a very valuable course. We have a course what to do with electromagnetic pollution. We have a course on enemas. Anything to do with enemas, is in that course. Again, it's run by a very experienced practitioner. So it's a good idea to check that website, because you might find the information that you need just right now.
Absolutely.
We have Gap Science Foundation that has been set up now about 3 years ago. sciencefoundation.org. We're doing scientific studies. We have a group of researchers now. We are publishing in peer-reviewed journals, in the bona fide peer-reviewed journals. We're publishing studies showing that GAPS works. Because GAPS is a global phenomenon. It's been around now for more than 20 years. It has proven itself. I don't know how many people around the world have recovered. Nobody's counting. Nobody has done an audit. Nobody's researched, how many people in every country have used this protocol and are using it now. So we don't have numbers to demonstrate to you. But from the clinical experience and from all the practitioners that are working and from correspondence that we have, I don't know how many people, maybe hundreds of thousands, maybe millions, that are using this powerful protocol around the world to heal from the most hopeless diseases, such as multiple sclerosis and rheumatoid arthritis and lupus and Hashimoto and schizophrenia and autism and depression and addictions and anorexia and epilepsy and all kinds of, and even genetic disease, even diseases which are classed as genetic disorders. Because with genetics, what you need to understand that our genetics are not cast in stone. They're not your destiny. The genes are not your destiny. The environment is. The environment that you create in your own body and around yourself. It's the environment chooses which genes are going to activate and which genes are going to go to sleep. And by going on the GAPS nutritional protocol, you are choosing your genetics. You're putting genes that cause disease to sleep and activating genes of radiant health, of good health. That's what you're doing, because food is the most powerful medicine for a human being, for every chronic disease, without any exceptions in the world. We have GAPS OnCon. We run GAPS online conferences. I think it's .com. You will find it if you look for GAPS OnCon. And the next one will be at the end of February 2025. We now run them for a few years. They're very successful. We have wonderful speakers. So I invite everybody to join us. You will learn an awful lot in this conference. So a lot of things are going on. We are designing a GAPS app to make it easier for people to follow the GAPS diet. Yes, and it should come out in 2025. So we will have GAPS app. And we are launching a GAPS podcast. That should come out soon as well.
Amazing.
So my GAPS team are very busy people. We're doing a lot.
Clearly.
Yes, we're doing a lot of work, and the demand for GAPS is growing all over the world, and it just demonstrates. My first book, the GAPS book, yellow book, this is my first GAPS book, Gut and Psychology Syndrome. That is the second one, Gut and Physiology Syndrome. So this one focuses on the brain. This one focuses on the rest of the body, the blue book. So they come together, these two books. The first book has been now translated to almost 30 languages, and we've got other languages coming in. And all my other books are being translated into practically every language in the world. I'm not doing these translations.
Yes.
It's people who have the English language. They get the English book, they use it in their own family, maybe with their clients, and they find that it works, and they want to bring this information into their own country. So these people contact me, and they translate into their own languages, and they bring that information into their country. And to show
Yes.
that 30 countries already joined in shows that the problems that people suffer with in the Western world are spreading very rapidly all over the world. Humanity's
Right.
health is declining all over the world. That is why
Yes.
this information is badly needed.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Oh, I'm so glad that you're just continuing to take on new projects and spread the word in all sorts of ways because yeah, I just know how much my life was changed by the GAPS diet and you know, I use it with all my clients as well. And a lot of people watching this are going to be somewhere on their GAPS journey as well. And it's just so inspiring to hear from the person herself. So thank you so much again
My
for
pleasure. And
coming
thank you
and
for your
sharing all
work.
your wisdom. It's so appreciated. All right, I'm going to stop the recording.